Welcome to your Supermoon lunar eclipse reading in Sagittarius. So this is a great energy to work with, and we're going to just tap in and see where Spirit takes us. While I'm shuffling, take a couple of deep breaths, ground yourself, and ask Spirit for whatever it is that you need to know or hear. Our summation card is the dissolving light. And we're going to look at that at the end, along with one of these cards. Pink Rose, Grace and Sweetness. And I'm going to take an angel number before we get started with the tarot. 4, 1, 4. So let's get going. I like to do a couple of cards in the beginning that we can come back to in the end and just get some confirmation. If you like to stay for the summation reading, it's a little bit long, especially with the Rumi cards, but sometimes if the reading really resonates, it's a good thing to do. So we're going to start by asking Spirit about what truth is being revealed right now. What truth is being revealed right now? What truth do you need to know that's being revealed right now? And I'm shuffling 2 decks. And we're going to begin right now. Spirit, show us what needs to be revealed right now. Show us what needs to be revealed at this time. Now I will actually pick the cards up and like move them to show you. I'm not using my usual spread. I'm working with a new guide, and so doing things a tiny bit differently. Wow, this is beautiful. I'm liking where this is going. All right, so I will be picking up these cards and showing them to you as I go along. One of the more beautiful things about this reading is all of the movement that I am seeing here. Really interesting movement and a lot of change. This is the Chariot in the traditional deck, and you know, it's so Sagittarius. This card at the bottom of the deck is basically like, that is about as Sagittarius as it gets for this moon. That makes a lot of sense because, you know, this reading is going to be about finding that essence that is going to be able to propel you forward, because there's a lot of change here and it's active. There's a lot of activity. There's definitely, I mean, you've got the Fool and the Death card here, and that means that you are looking at a completely new beginning. Just a transformed, resurrected sort of life. But at the moment, this is scary. This idea that there's going to be so much change is scary. And the truth that Spirit wants to reveal to you is that you're holding yourself back in a number of ways that we're going to go over. And yeah, you're being called out of like a cave. You're being called out into the world. There's a lot here for you, but there's some acceptance and some courage, and some beautiful rewards as well. So let's just see what we get here. All right, Queen of Cups, and we also have the 9 of Pentacles. So tying this all together is a deeply emotionally mature, nurturing. This is a queen. She knows herself. She doesn't compare herself to others. She is comfortable in her leadership potential, and she feels confident in her, in this case, emotional assessments most of all. You know, you're between this insular place where you've done all kinds of spiritual work and where you're very much led by the Spirit, but you're really moving into this Nine of Pentacles place, which is a beautiful place to be moving into. It's stability, it's wealth, it's admiration, it's respect. It's a comfortable life where you have achieved comfort, and your friendships are stable. You've built well. So you're between, you know, starting and getting there. And what's going to help you is that you really have come into this queen energy in a huge way. At the same time, like, this transformation for you is daunting. And no, this isn't death. This is the devil. Wow. That's fascinating. You know, it's so interesting the way that my mind just, like, did that. And I think that it means that, like, death has been very much a controlling factor. Like, the devil energy is about enslavement. Oh, I have to remember to turn the cards towards you. I'm sorry if I didn't. The devil card is about enslavement. And because I saw it as death first, and I'm reading intuitively as I do, this is being released from an enslavement to fear of change. And while there is this beautiful new beginning that's very instinct driven, there's a lot of hesitation here. It's like you're aware of the jump, the leap. You're aware of the void. And you know that is the direction that your instinct is calling you to, but it goes against everything you think about what it means to, you know, do life right, if that's such a thing. And to really step into yourself and be in that really empowered place as yourself, you just want, Spirit's urging you to take the leap. And we're going to get into all the reasons why. And, you know, the truth that's revealed is, like, you're no longer enslaved to this energy of fear of change, but you have to take that first step in that new direction. And the first step is always kind of the scariest one. There's really good rewards coming, you know, as a result. You know, like, even just look at this. You know, she's stepping forward into this place of dignity and strength and beauty and wisdom and a level of greatness. You know, she's really reaching mastery. You have the Forest Lovers. And this card is generally about choice, but not when I'm looking at this particular card, this deck. If you notice, their arms are tied together. And they're both holding their hands over their heart. So they're both guarding their hearts, and yet their hands are tied together. They can untie it, but they're not. And so we're going to come back to the significance of this in a little bit. But what is clear is that you are really protecting yourself to an extreme degree. And it's one of those things where it's maybe when there may have been a time when you were in survival mode and you needed to have this much protection around you. But now that that's over, the protection is no longer needed to be that excessive, and you're kind of blocking yourself from allowing like the light in various ways, kind of forcing a shadow. And that is so related to this. It's so related to being enslaved to a fear of change. You don't trust it, is what I'm hearing. You don't trust very much at all. So this is a key right here. In the traditional deck, this is the Seven of Swords, and that's usually about deception, theft. In this case, what I'm seeing is telling a story to yourself about how hurt and trapped you are over and over and over and over again, and her eyes are closed and believing that this is existence in its entirety. And that's really what needs to be revealed, is that there's fictions that are holding you in this place. There's this fear of chaos with change. You know, in the upright, the Six of Swords is going from a storm, chaotic storm, into calm waters finally. When I see it in this reversal position, and the way that it feels to me is this fear of change is related to a fear of chaos. And this has become such a burden to carry because it requires control. You know, to steer, constantly be trying to keep this in calm water and make every decision to avoid change, which entails chaos at a certain level. It's like you're getting exhausted by like before noon with the effort of trying to ward off any possible catastrophe or any change terrifies you, and that's exhausting. But this is where you are. You are at the beginning of really understanding yourself, and there are messages coming in from a lot of different sources. Keep an eye out for them. Spirit wants you to keep an eye out for them. They're going to all be synchronistic. They're all going to be like the same message. You're going to hear it several times. This is what your guides want to tell you about what you need to know, and you are in a place of beginning to understand and beginning to listen and beginning to hear. So let's get more clarifying cards as I go, because that's like the basic situation. And like to break it, I can go on and on, but to break it down, you're no longer enslaved to a fear of change. It's just that those patterns are still in place. And like the pattern of being overly protected, the pattern of avoiding, change to an extreme degree, the pattern of holding a lot of burden, and the story you're telling yourself, a new beginning is needed, and there needs to be trust, and trust is missing. And we're going to find out a little bit more about what this is related to, because this card in particular is a little bit outside of everything else that's been coming through here about kind of a core revelation. In fact, this is going to lead the next inquiry. So I'm just going to push these cards out of the way, and then we are going to move into looking at this partnership. This is either something that needs to be, this is either something that needs to be held onto or released. you know, related to the energy of this lunar eclipse supermoon, like this is either to be released or held onto, and that they're holding their hands in front of their hearts, and that they're also tied. Like, to move their hands from their heart, they can reach the tie, and that might need to be the case. Or they remove their hands from their heart, and this is the right decision, and it feels good, and it brings expansion and safety and a beautiful, you know, growth in a new direction. So let's see what comes up. With the beginning leading us to what's often seen as a single energy. For some of you, that's what this is, but it's not for all of you. It's just an independence of being. That this will lead to being single for some. This will resonate differently for everybody. But it represents being free of any kind of codependency or any kind of somebody owning you. This is like a free woman. And that does, so we'll see what that means. And a free woman is great in a relationship. I mean, that's the way it should be. And anything else is often very dampening and painful, unnecessary too. So let's see what this says. Let's take a deeper look at this relationship in terms of whether, you know, what needs to be released in this relationship in order for it to feel safe enough to move that hand away from the heart, or what needs to be released in the way of the tie around the wrists. They're looking at each other, so there's definitely a connection here. No two ways about that. Spirit, help us understand what needs to be released or received. Received. I will hold them up. Okay. Wow, this is heavy. It's something that you have been holding on to for a really long time, and adjustments are required, is what it's looking like. Yes, adjustments are required. So the wheel of fortune is turning, like it or not. This is going to change things. It's in the upright. It's going to change things for the better, in line with your purpose, in line with your. It's going to change things for the better. This is a good change. It's not without its. Well, change is what we started talking about as being sort of a fearful thing. And Spirit saying, change is already arrived. It's just understanding that it's, that this process is going to be in your favor. There's a lot that you are not saying right now. And there's something cold about that. Withholding. There's a withholding here. So let's see what that is. And this energy could be either, because there are two energies here. Yeah, there are two energies here. So, there's something not being said. And this might be the person that you're dealing with. A cold withholding of information, or a really sharp tongue. There's a stable new beginning coming for you, and it's a gift from the divine. There's a new path, and it's a path that will be stable and be solid. It's a good beginning. there's this beautiful, how do I explain this? There's this way of being old and young at the same time right now, which is why, you know, Spirit's saying, like, this is the nature of this new beginning. You know, embracing being new and curious and having like a child's wonder, embracing that with the wisdom of a lifetime of accumulated knowledge. This is where you're kind of going. That's what this year has done. You know, it's made you both, this year has made you both the youngest you've ever been and the oldest you've ever been at the same time. And Spirit says, like, this is something to embrace because the positive aspects of this are so positive and powerful going forward. You know, especially in terms of relationship, because there are definitely things that are not being acknowledged, not being spoken. And if they are being spoken, they're either not being spoken with direct honesty or being spoken in a way that is cutting. If you turn it around, you know, in the upright, this is an inner knowing about what you're supposed to be doing and where you're supposed to be going, and like really instinctual, beautiful, like this is, you know, just an accumulation of all these aspects, and just a spiritual knowing that comes from within, being led from within. And this would be speaking honestly, straightforward, no holding back, and just really speaking your truth. And so it's like there's a communication issue. You know, there's tremendous growth, and it might be difficult. It might be really difficult to communicate that tremendous gulf. It might be, yes, it might be difficult to communicate that tremendous gulf, and it also might be difficult to communicate that growth. Like it or not, you're on a new road. The divine has given you a new beginning. It's begun. You've already stepped on it. But there's this King of Wands energy. And on the bottom of the deck, there's this 10 of Wands energy. And so this is an energy of passion, inspiration. It's, let me feel this for a second. Strange. You know, two things are coming through. One, forbidden love, and the other, like, someone who is, like, in control, impassioned, confident, inspiring, like, very, like, able to win the game over and over and over again. That's this energy over here. So let's get some clarification on that. It's really mostly, one person is mostly coming through. The trajectory of one person for the most part. And again, it's going to resonate differently for different people. But the trajectory for, I think, the person I'm reading for it, because it feels a little bit weighted in this way that I feel things. We've got change. And we've got to need to communicate that change. And it's difficult because it's pretty profound that this growth, you know, feeling the youngest and the oldest as you ever have, and started this new beginning. But there's this unresolved thing related to this King of Wands energy, which is separate. And I'm feeling a tightness in my chest for some reason. So that's probably significant for somebody. So I'm going to actually move this stuff over since we went over it. And then I'm going to, we're going to move this so that we can focus more on this energy right here in terms of what needs to be released or what you need to be receptive for. One or the other here. There is a decision to be made, but I think it's been made. And this might just be a dangerous reminder that it's missing something. And that's for somebody, not everyone. My hands are like shaking. Somebody's really afraid. Okay. You should know that the underlying energy of this is victory. And so you both want victory. You both want the best possible outcome. There is grief, and there's a lot of distracting away from it. Like almost there's a level of disassociation sometimes, and like there's this like overwhelming too many choices, and it kind of like it's a dominant frenzy. It can be dizzying, and then you can shut down and kind of just collapse in on yourself. And it's an avoiding of grief, really. Looking back over a life and saying like, sorry, I have to remember to keep the card. Looking back over at life and, not wanting to grieve, where like sometimes we just have so much hope in things. And it doesn't go right, and it's kind of like this, like it's a rough ending, and it needs to be grieved like a death. And so, there's a lot of avoiding that, and it's understandable. But what needs to be released is that grief. You have a lot of energetic, like you've got a lot coming in at once. And it's going to come quickly. And this is why this like new start that's like happening, it's because you've changed. You're not a slave to the fear of change. You just haven't like exercised those muscles yet. Things are going to come in real quick, real passionate, and there's a sense of overwhelm if you've been sat in this energy of escaping. Like escapism from the various ways in which like loss has affected you deeply, and needing to do that grieving and needing to let go of that pain inside, because it's slowing down. This passion in the beginning, it's on its way. It's going to hit real fast and with a lot of energy, but you want to be ready for it. This is bracing against that in a sense, in the position that it's in. There's this fear, related to this King of Wands of everything you've built sort of falling apart. And there's a lot of just being done fighting, just being finished fighting. So that's for some people, that's for you. For others, you're about to get a lot of information about somebody who has backed out. It's going to come quickly. Don't get scared. When something is resonating, you know it already. That's basically what resonating is. If you don't know it and you're wondering if this is true, then that's probably not resonating for you. But resonating is that you already know it. So there are those of you that know that you've got a message coming, a lot of information coming, a lot being revealed about the fact that someone's pretty much checked out because they don't want to fight anymore. And for others, something reignites, but there's something called there's a kind of victory that you can have that doesn't feel like a victory. So, you know, there's a lot here, and it seems, you know, there's victory. I mean, that's this bottom of the deck. But what do you, I mean, for those that this is resonating with, this super lunar eclipse wants you to let go of what does not work anymore. Whether that letting go comes from somebody else's initiation or yours. And coming back to yourself and moving through that grief. You know, for a lot of you, that's what this is. And I'm going to actually pull, let's look at this a little bit closer, because I'm like, I feel like a stung feeling in my chest, like something stung me. So let's see what we see here. This is a hard situation, and I think that it's not so much that you have to let go of the person as you do have to let go of it being a disappointment, for it to be something that's new and that you discover new things, or or it's supposed to be released and you already know this, and it'll be released one way or the other. Wow, the cards are heavy and sticking. This is something that like drives me crazy. I left these in the deck because I thought it, you know, they speak to me in a certain way. But I'm going to keep pulling. But this is such an emptiness. That's always what I consider like an emptiness, not in line with purpose. It just feels like a void. So I'm going to keep going. I think this deck, you're supposed to create those cards, but I just keep them blank. And I let them create themselves in real time. All right. On the bottom of the deck, we have the Destroyer card. And the energy that's there is, you know, there's a light attribute and a shadow attribute to every archetype. And for the Destroyer, it's releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for a new life. If it's shadowy, it's intoxication with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential. So the Destroyer can destroy, you know, for good or for evil is basically what this is saying. And there is an energy coming in that is going to burn away what doesn't serve you, because you have grown. You've grown, and you can't ungrow. Once you know something, you can't unsee it, and you can't really ungrow it. This relationship, there's a level of manipulation that leaves you feeling like you're not in any way seen. And so Spirit wants to draw your attention to either being seen totally wrong or not being seen at all. And look at that closely. There might be a situation for some of you where there's just been so much manipulation that you can't even see yourself clearly anymore. And what is happening with all of this growth for you is you're learning how to express yourself. You're learning how to, you know, the light attribute with this poet is expresses soul insights in a symbolic language. You're beginning to remember your voice again. You're beginning to know what it sounds like. It's starting to be less about being informed and more about knowing. You know, the Advocate card in its light attribute inspires you to put compassion into action, but in the reverse, in the shadow attribute, embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain, like, that's no longer in line with who you are. And for some of you, it's just picking the wrong cause or picking the wrong person. And it's just sunk costs. Like, that's what it is. So there's a relationship in your life here, and it doesn't have to be a romantic partner. I'm feeling for a lot of you, it's definitely not. There is a relationship in your life that you have to be able to part with, maybe during this time. Or there's a relationship to having a certain kind of relationship that needs to change. Either way, there's a lot of impact here quickly. You have the warrior attribute in the upright: strength, skill, discipline, and toughness of will, heroism, stoicism, and self-sacrifice in conquering the ego. You're strong enough for whatever this is. The shadow attribute of servant is using the lack of money as an excuse not to move forward with life. So these are at odds. Let me just get more cards on that, because the light attribute of servant is delight in serving others with a free and loving heart. This is like doing something because you feel an obligation to. You know, always being there for someone, but you're running out of wanting to do it. Like, you know, it's no longer coming from a place of genuine passion to be there for someone. It's coming from a place of obligation. So that's kind of like, you know, whoever's resonating with this, like, knows that relationship and knows what that is. And so letting go, you know, in various ways, or letting go of that whole dynamic. And sometimes you have to step away in order for a dynamic to change. So that's heavy. That's pretty heavy. So let's like get a little bit of advice from Spirit. And then as we get advice from Spirit, it's like just finding out where it's going to serve us best, you know, to focus intention and energy. So let's see what comes out here in the way of advice. Victory. Victory is flying out. Spirit wants you to know you're going to be victorious. No matter what we do, no matter what you do, you're going to be victorious. You know, if you're feeling this great heaviness right now, or this defeat right now, no, this is a victory for you somehow. There's a message coming through for somebody. I think I heard it. It was, yeah, no, I heard something. The message is, you're so beautiful. Somebody knows what that, you know, there's someone who needs to hear that, and, you know, and that hit in a resonant place. There's a message coming through for someone. You are so beautiful. This really is a theme of this moon, this eclipse, coming out of any kind of like escapism, stupor, is what this is all about right now. Because there's going to be victory, and there's going to be victory over not having the right people to work with. Not having the right people in your life to build with. It's going to be victory over that. It's going to be victory over let me just feel into this for a second. Spirit wants to bring through, there is this aspect here of holding on to this, like, isolationist small kingdom of one, instead of embracing a more expansive life at this time. There's a mastery over emotions, which is really good, but it's almost at the expense of a larger group of relationships. And so Spirit wants this to be brought to your attention in terms of like where it's going to serve you best to focus your energy. And we're going to go over this in a minute. Because there has been issues working with other people. There have been problems. But there's victory over this. And so this victory, we're going to focus, Spirit wants us to focus intention in that direction. Feelings of being depleted and of feeling like your work and your skill, like it didn't pay off, it wasn't appreciated. Like this is going to be dealt with right now too. So we're going to deal with these things in terms of focus and transformation. But victory over not having people to work with is assured in this reading for whoever this is resonating really deeply for. So there's a level of heaviness, no two ways about it. I'm not sure why I expected there not to be. This is quite a moon. So let's get some clarification on all of this so that we can see where we can have some catharsis. Wow, I'm so excited right now. I just saw something beautiful. All right. We're gonna deal with the false belief that that you're lost and you don't know where to go. And so that's a weird phrase, but I think what it's saying is that you might have a lot more clarity than you realize once we just sort of try and tease this apart a little bit. Clarifying this worn out feeling of like wasted work and just like depleted is it's a victory in justice. It's really interesting. Okay, so I need more cards to interpret this better. I just do. I'm gonna grab this deck because that's really interesting. You know, the Two of Swords, it can just be indecision or not being able to see which direction to go, but it just looks like a joke. Well, yeah. I'm just gonna get some more information. If it's over, is it over? Let's get another two. Wow, this is going long, but I guess this is a very intense moon. I love it. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, this was so freaking confusing to me. So, okay, how do I do this? Okay, so what this means beautifully, there's a lot in here, and I'll go over that in a second, but what this means, which is really, it's that whatever you choose is going to be the correct choice. You can't go wrong. Whatever you choose, it will be correct. How do we get there, and what does that all mean? what I'm seeing here is like all of these fears. And it's almost like trying to pull, I don't know, like trying to hide from a spooky feeling. Spirit's like, we're gonna look at what this is, because there's really no reason for. Wow, I am feeling such a deep pain. I don't know who this is, but let's pull you out of this fear, because it's actually like, you know, sure, the decision that you make, you know, one way or another, you're going to be making the right decision. It's whatever you choose is going to be correct. So that's a very good feeling and understanding. But opening your eyes to what the heck is scaring you so much is really the ultimate victory here. And it's going to serve you well to face those fears. And, you know, there's... Wow, the heaviness. Oh my goodness. Okay. So it's like you're afraid to have compassion. You're like, there's a compassion fatigue, and this fear of opening up to either give or receive in a really, really big way, which is why, like, you know, it's not so much about what choice you make. Like, either choice is going to be the right choice. It's about how you change the way you feel about like opening up, so that you can nourish yourself, and also so that you can be compassionate to those around you. It's overcoming really severe compassion fatigue. And wow, there's been a lot of tears, a lot of pain. But this has been a good purging. It's been a cleansing for you. And so this time of grief over all kinds of disappointments in relationships there's been a tremendous purge. And there's a lot of space inside of you for receiving. And compassion is a necessary mechanism and technology of receiving. So, you know, advice from Spirit here is, you know, step into this place of first compassion for yourself. Not abandoning yourself, having compassion for yourself when you do, having your compassion for yourself for having gotten things wrong or getting things wrong, having compassion for yourself because of the way that you're perceived. There's so many layers to that. But you begin with having compassion for yourself. And then as that begins to heal you, and as you begin to feel that, like I feel like there's a burn, I'm feeling burns, and it's like putting aloe on the burns, like you have compassion to others and your skin heals and it heals more. And so that when someone touches you, it doesn't hurt. That's what I'm being shown right now. That this is what you practicing compassion will do. I'm feeling like, you know, I'm going to just repeat it because it's really strong. Practicing compassion for you is so essential, because it's like you're burned. Your whole chest is really burned, and you're applying aloe. And every time you apply aloe, that's applying compassion to yourself, being compassionate to yourself about everything that you get mad about you and what happened to you and what you did and what you didn't do. Like every single time you have that rage, apply that aloe. That's compassion to yourself. And as you apply that aloe of compassion to yourself, it will heal your skin and allow you to be in a position where when someone touches you, it doesn't hurt, or you're not flinching. So you can receive the right kind of love and the right kind of inspiration and the right kind of direction in terms of projects and people. This is so clear here, and that Spirit wants you to really focus your intention and energy on that process. You know, because it brings clarity, it brings happiness, it brings joy, it brings you back to life for a lot of you. That means you know, to get to this clarity and to get to this like vibrant experience of life and a feeling of power and you know, inside and in your life and in your creations and in your interactions, power, clarity, and just an overall buoyant, bright disposition. To get there, the road there is actually let yourself start wishing for things that feel good, that make you feel good. It's like important to get that muscle going. Like, what do you want? If you don't know, start asking yourself that question, because that's right behind intention is what you want, desire. So all this manifestation needs to come from a place of desire, and that means like that healing these wounds, these like relationship wounds, and what they're going to be able to do, what applying this compassion will do in healing this. Spirit wants you to start making decisions about what you want and wishes. Start allowing yourself to wish and dream and allow yourself to entertain the idea of putting faith in some of these hopes. And I know that's really painful for a lot of people, but this is a practice that Spirit wants you to embark on and focus on, so that your intention is fueled with that passion and that desire, so that it actually can come to fruition fast enough or in a way that you can see. I mean, perfect timing is perfect timing, but your part in all of this in terms of really bringing yourself back to life again is to also participate in life-affirming activities, and you know, really like, and life-affirming activities is actually being able to not have, it's like, don't do the foreshortened future, instead like think into the future, like actually practice, even if it's not coming natural, practice like thinking about the future that you want and what it looks like. If you can't do it in your mind because it's too painful, take out a piece of paper and write it down, because knowing what you want is how you get there. That's how you get there. Spirit wants you to know that there are friends there, really good friends, that will work well with you. That's what this is. But again, you know, to having like this burns that hurts when someone, you know, to let people in and to be able to feel safe cooperating with others, like this healing is happening. So this is something that Spirit really wants you to focus your energy on. And that's like the powerful message. And that's where we're going to leave it. And we'll read the summation card, but this is where we're going to leave it. You know, you do have these beautiful things coming in, but it's going to mean pruning, you know, some negative relationships. For some of you, that very particular relationship, or releasing, you know, if that person is releasing you, being able to release them, or even just releasing expectations so that you can then gain what is there and valuable, because you'll be able to see it. So that's like, you know, all of that. But in terms of this healing that Spirit wants you to do, so you can move forward in this powerful way and really receive the way that the energy, you know, like what's here for you essentially is healing. Heal that relationship trauma, and like that vision keeps coming back. You know, the burnt chest, aloe. Apply that compassion to yourself, and then the skin will get to the point where touch doesn't hurt you and actually probably feels good. And allowing yourself to have this hope is bringing in the right friends, the good, fun, and friends that are fun, great to work with, and it's great. And these are beautiful. This is a beautiful arrangement of energies of loving working together and it feeling like a party. So that is your message, and I'm gonna now read the summation card if you want to stick around for that. That's a very powerful message, and I'm drawn to just pull a card real fast here from this deck, and then I'll read the dissolving light. This is going long, but I think everything I do goes on forever. Destiny. It is not in the stars to hold our destiny, but in ourselves. William Shakespeare. embrace the change. It's destined. You can't make a wrong choice here. It's just about your comfort zone and feeling good about it. So let's read this. This is the Dissolving Light card. Let's read the message. It's roomy, so it can get a little long, but let's just do it. And I'm going to take a little sip of water. All right, the Dissolving Light. I died as mineral and became a plant. I died as plant and rose to animal. I died as animal and I became human. Why should I fear anything? When was I ever less by dying? Rumi. Dare take my hand and become set alight with holy fire, my cherished one. Step forward with me, let us burn together. Dissembled in the light that cannot be extinguished. This is the light that burns with such incandescent truth that no falsehood can withstand its audacious vibrancy. Come with me now to the light, together we shall melt into the truth. There is a light so intense, so powerful that nothing other than itself, its own truth, can exist in its presence. It is the sacred seed, the star of your being, lit up from within. It is the light that never goes out. It is the light that is so powerful it is beyond duality of light and dark, cannot ever be extinguished or diminished, and quite simply, beyond all logic, just is. Certainly no lie or deception, no boundary or defense can remain intact in its presence. The blazing divinity of this light sears through any pretense, alienates illusions, and takes us into stark experience of divine truth. It is gentleness, and yet it cannot be overcome. It is enduring power, and yet it is tender. Though you seek the divine and even know it as love, you also know that it is fierce, wild, inexplicable, and demanding beyond all measure. It wants you, completely, utterly, without condition. There will be times in your life, such as now, when there is something not worthy of you that must be released. This is a falsehood, a lie, or deception of some sort that you have come to believe about yourself, your life, or perhaps even another. You may know what the deception is, or it may be about to be unveiled. It is not a cause for fear or concern, but for celebration. An illusion has or soon will be released, and you shall become freer, free in a way that only truth can provide. This oracle comes to you as a sign of that which is to come, and soon. The beloved divine presence is calling to you, igniting within your deepest being, so that it may have its way with you. The divine wishes to live through you and into the world, reaching into the hearts of many and igniting those hearts into greater life. It is a clever and insatiable lover. It will stop at nothing until the entire human race is restored to the wild divine freedom of ecstatic divine reunion, completely and utterly ignited in love. And so the great lover, the divine, calls for you to enter into the white-hot field of its passionate presence. There will be sizzle and burn. It cannot be otherwise. In the height of summer, you cast aside the layers of clothing you require in the winter. This is natural. You do not think twice about it. As you approach the radiant sun of divinity, your emotional and psychological layers are to be shed too, for they are too heavy for the heat of the great spiritual sun. What cannot stand the heavenly heat is to be cast aside swiftly by conscious choice, or shall simply burn up, dissolving in the light and melting away. What is left shall be what is true. So here's your guidance, sweet lover of the great beloved. Give it up. The smallness, the conditions, the fears and doubts, the lack of reverence for yourself and life, the belief that somehow things are not okay or aren't going to work out. That is all a paltry attempt at truth. You are coming into a truth now that is far more worthy of you. A truth with a capital T, the big truth, love, trust, surrender. This is about a sacred shedding without fear or holding back. Cast aside whatever would hold you back, rather than free you to fly into your divine destiny. You are not to be the same from this moment on. That is the holy word, the word inscribed in living divine fire in your sacred heart. This oracle brings you guidance. Trust in your changing perspective and perceptions. Don't hold on to what you once believed or thought to be true. Allow yourself to be shown another version of events, another way of perceiving. Don't focus on what is not working in your current estimation of things, for that is nothing more than a passing opinion. You are being given an opportunity to see and know yourself, others, and in particular life circumstances very differently. Embrace it. Don't resist what is being shown to you. For even if there are some struggles in adjusting your view at first, ultimately this change in perception will free you and bring you more deeply into the wellspring of your own inner peace and happiness. That's really good. All right, so let's do the sacred honoring ritual together. I'll try to read slowly, so if there's anything to repeat. So the sacred honoring ritual, let's take like a really big breath together, or a couple of them actually, and just like pull yourself into your body. Place both hands on your heart and say the following aloud. The eternal light of Rumi burns through that which is unworthy and frees me into unconditional love and truth now. I am blessed by the grace of this sacred brother, and I open my heart to the tender fire of passionate presence. Through merciful compassion and my own free will, I ask to be shown the greater truth that will set me free. So be it. Relax with your hands on your heart for as long as feels good. When you're ready, simply open your eyes. You've completed your sacred honoring ritual. You can repeat this anytime you feel the need to let go of self-limiting behavior, judgment of a person or situation that drains rather than leaves you feeling vibrant and free, or beliefs that deplete and depress you rather than open you up to loving and endless possibilities. This ritual is a way to tap into supportive grace to assist you in that conscious surrender. You will be blessed, beloved. I love that. So that's your reading for the supermoon lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. And for those of you that resonated for, I'm just going to read this last card that I pulled earlier, which is grace and sweetness. The pursuit of perfection, then, is the pursuit of sweetness and light. And this is Matthew Arnold. And we're just going to end there. So have a lovely rest of your day or evening, and I'll see you soon.